Allusion is a reference to previous literature or history. In The Outsiders, Johnny and Ponyboy allude to Robert Frost's Nothing Gold Can Stay. The 8 short lines of this poem are packed full of meaning and profound truth. And one of the ways that Frost packs it with profundity is with allusion. Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. The speaker here is, of course, talking about nature's first green. You know, that precious moment in spring when the new leaves first push out of their buds. In its beauty, value, and rarity, Frost metaphorically compares this green to gold. Personified nature struggles to hold on to this fragile hue, and it is all too quickly gone. So Eden sank to grief. This is an allusion to the events recorded in Genesis 3. Allusions are powerful if you know the history or the literature to which they allude. If you are familiar with the story of the fall, this line takes that whole story and packs it into a few words. Frost is identifying and lamenting the pattern of loss in our lives. Good and beautiful and precious things just don't stay. We get lovely and regular reminders of what we lost in the fall, and it appropriately makes us a little wistful. In The Outsiders, by saying, "Stay gold, Ponyboy," Johnny takes that whole idea, the whole poem, and all the events of Genesis 3, and he tells Ponyboy to resist the universal pattern of all things. That preciousness and innocence quickly fade. All that is packed into 2 words, stay gold. The Bible is full of incredible people and places and events to which we can refer in our poetry, in our worship song lyrics, to achieve a similar imaginative experience like this one. Last Sunday we sang Christ Be Magnified by Cody Carnes. Here's a piece of it. Were creation suddenly articulate with 1,000 tongues to lift one cry, then from north to south and east to west we'd hear Christ be magnified. O Christ be magnified, let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me, O Christ be magnified. From the altar of my life, Christ be magnified in me. I won't bow down to idols, I'll stand strong and worship you. And if it puts me in the fire, I'll rejoice 'cause you're there too. I won't be formed by feelings, I hold fast to what is true. If the cross brings transformation, then I'll be crucified with you. The 1,000 tongues in the first line here are an allusion to the hymn written by Charles Wesley, "Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing my great Redeemer's praise." Although the word articulate itself is problematic here, the first lines might be an allusion to Jesus' words in Luke 19, verse 40, when he says to some Pharisees who demanded that Jesus tell the people to settle down, Jesus says, "I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out." Crying out is nothing like being articulate, and our praise need not be articulate. Our inarticulate lives are to be living sacrifices. This is true and proper worship. But let's move on to the clearest and most powerful allusion in this song. I won't bow to idols, I'll stand strong and worship you, and if it puts me in the fire, I'll rejoice 'cause you're there too. This is a reference to Daniel 3, verses 1 through 30, where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to worship the golden idol set up by King Nebuchadnezzar, so they were thrown into the fiery furnace. 3 guys go into the fire, but the king sees a 4th. The 3 men survived the furnace, but they were protected by what many think was the pre-incarnate Jesus. This allusion imaginatively puts us into the position of the faithful young men. They were obedient and praising God whether he saved them or not, and we echo this as we sing. Can you see the power of allusion here? The whole story, if we are familiar with it, now inhabits the words that we are singing. We imaginatively participate in the story. It seems to me that many of the songs that we sing in church these days are relatively empty. For some reason, we've abandoned most, if not all, of the tools that poets have used for centuries to put power into our language and to engage our imaginations and to help us share in powerful experiences. Why do we allow these tools to rust unburnished, not to shine in use? See what I did there? Is it laziness? Does it come from a desire to be accessible? Is it because of a lack of skill, awareness, or training? A lack of motivation? In this series called The Poetry of Praise, I have attempted to challenge or inspire writers of contemporary worship songs to do more than engage our emotions with the music, but to engage our imaginations with the lyrics. If you know a worship leader or a songwriter, please share this video series with them. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.